right.
Okay, this podcast is going to be kind of rough cut. We had some technical issues. We had to switch to Zoom, the old backup, the old COVID standby Zoom. Um, Today we got Greg Mullennix.
Well,
I was going to ask earlier how to pronounce your name. I think that's it.
yeah, you got
Um,
it.
at the age of 11 in Covington, Ohio, Greg had a Bigfoot experience, and this is just going to be it. It may not be a long 2 hour podcast, but we're going to hear a really cool Bigfoot experience that I've been hearing about for a couple of months. And Greg, why don't you tell us about your Bigfoot experience?
Let's see, it'd be around 1980 or 81. And me and a few friends of mine, we always played in these little small area woods. And we was coming home from a football game. And we was all going to spend the night at this one friend's house that lived right by the woods. And we always cut through those woods, and we was cutting through there, and there he was right in the path, so we couldn't go that way. There he was.
How you say how tall was he?
Telling you, he was huge. I've heard of heights that people say that they see him like 9 foot. I'd say he was close to 8 something.
Now, I've talked
And
to
he
more
was
than one person in Ohio that had issues. And I was gonna do an intro about how Ohio was the Florida of the Midwest with all the
yeah,
aliens and stuff.
yeah, they this there from my research, it's kind of like the Appalachians,
Mhm.
going east and west, or east and west, right where I'm at. It goes through Ohio. I believe they migrate east and west. I caught the east and west migration, not the north and south.
No. Now, what part of Ohio was Covington in? I didn't do a lot of backstory. I was kind of rushed a minute ago.
It, I, it's a small town, great town. It's full of good people, and you know, it's maybe it's one county away from Indiana,
Oh,
and
so
it's
far
in
west.
yes, it's as far west you can get.
Okay, that really makes
It's on
sense.
Yeah, it's on US 36, and that's actually where I seen the creature, right off of 36.
You know, Indiana and Illinois are hotbeds for Sasquatch stuff. I have somebody on here once a month from either of those, and so yeah, that being that close makes a lot of sense. Nice and flat and
Yeah,
wooded.
yeah, and it's right on a railroad track.
Did
And
Now your other friend? You said you had other friends with you. Did they see it too?
yes, my two other friends. Yep, yep,
I feel like I would just
yes.
never
I
stop
seen
talking
it.
about it.
Oh, I never have, and people just don't know what to do with me. Some folks laugh and giggle. It's funny, and I don't know. Some folks, when they giggle and laugh about it and stuff, I kind of, they've never seen it, So I'm like, wow, they just think it's funny. I'm like, man, it wasn't funny at all.
I mean,
But
was that like a place that you've been down a lot, like that trail? That's something you frequented.
we was like 10 years old, and we used to ride our bikes back there every
Mm-hmm.
day, and we played back there every day. We just, I've heard stories, young people, kids. This one guy, I've heard a story where he actually played with this one on his property in a barn. He lived out in the country, and they
Mm-hmm.
played barn all the time together, swinging on a big rope and stuff. I mean, that's one. And there's like the young ones and the females, and then the males, the adult males. I seen that an adult male, and I thought about years later, what would I really have done if I'd have stayed there any longer? Because I stood there a little bit longer than my friends did. They took off, but I did pass them up on the street though. I After I'd 7 more seconds, and I still ended up passing them up.
You all
But
joined the track team that afternoon or that next week.
100-mile-an-hour dash, and like I was going about 4 seconds, 4 or 5 seconds. I figured it was, and yeah, man, that thing was something else. It was just something else. Something else.
I tell you, when I think about it, like yours was just like real quick and then you bounced out of there. But you got like how close did you get to him? Just like a full frontal Class A sighting?
No, I mean, I smelled him
Mm-hmm.
because he just smelled terrible. And we were about 20, 25 feet from it. About another 16 or 17 steps, we could have touched him.
Oh, so he was right there. Stepped on
Hmm.
out. You get a look at the face?
Yeah, we caught him off guard. Yeah, we was close enough there where you could see he was pretty hairy, just like everybody says, broad shoulders,
Mm-hmm.
hands hung down to its knees, and it was hair hanging down off its arm because it stood up, and I've heard how their eyes changing. If I thought about it, yeah, his eyes changed. But I always want to say that it had like a dog nose.
Yeah,
Had
you
like
mentioned that
dog
dog
nose.
nose.
And I've heard people say that they have other types of noses. So there might be different ones. I don't know, but
When you say
because I
dog nose,
never,
you mean like a
every
snout or
time I
just like the nose itself? Sorry.
just the nose part, yeah, it was a
Yeah.
smushed in nose like this, but it was the dog material. It was like that little cracks in
Yeah.
it. And I mean, he was 20 something feet away, but I could tell what it was. It was,
Yeah,
I mean, it
that's
wasn't
not
like an
too
ape's
terribly
that's
far.
shiny and all that. It looked, plus he had hair all over and stuff. So maybe not. I don't know. But his nose, I mean, the rest of his body was there. So I tried to look at him, man, but he was too scary to look at, man. He was dead eyeing me, and I just couldn't really. That's why I stayed there longer than them guys because I wanted to see, man, what he looked like because I knew what it was. I'd never seen one. I never heard of them or nothing, and I would have never believed in it. But then, I seen that thing, man, and I'm telling you, it just
Mm-hmm.
the most fear. I had a bad experience. It was a bad experience for me. It was not good. And I've heard of people having good experiences with them, feeding them and all kinds of learning stuff, but not this one. He made some noises after we took off that pretty much
What did it
told us
sound?
don't come back.
What were the noises? That's one of the questions I was going to ask.
At first, it started out squealing, like squeals, and then chirps, but they weren't like a bird or a
Mm-hmm.
pig. They were deeper uh, tones. Uh, and then when we finally got out and away from him and out on the street, which was about football and a half field, football field and a half, we got out there and it started making grunting, uh, dominant growl, echoing and howl through one of them little howls in there at the end. And then my mom just happened to drive by and pick us up because it was after dark and we weren't supposed to be out after dark because I lived right by the football field and we were going back to my friend's house to try to, if I figured if I could get to my buddy's house and call, I'd be like, Mom, it's too dark out. I can't, let me spend the night with my buddy here, and I figured I'd be able to get to spend the night with him. But
Go back
she
out there
picked
with
us up.
flashlights.
No, not for years later I did, but not with a flashlight. I barely went in there. I went right to the same spot and
No
I couldn't even get in.
footprints.
No, I didn't know. He didn't have to give me none of them. No. And we never, but there was like a little hut thing back there. I always thought them other kids did it, I thought, well, that's pretty cool,
Mm-hmm.
But no, now that I think about
Like a teepee made out of sticks.
it, yeah, yeah. Well, it was a dome. It was a domish type.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a domish type. I've seen those before.
Was
Like
it
no
like?
teepee type.
It seems like was there any like local legends about it anywhere near there?
Pardon?
Were there any like local legends like other people
No, no,
seeing them?
no, no. Nobody even believes me, man. Still to this day,
I
everybody
mean,
thinks I'm make up this big, huge story with all these huge details and all this fear.
yeah,
And this is the
maybe if
first
you
time I've
were,
ever done.
yeah, maybe if you're 30 years old and were accused of cheating on your wife or something and made that up, nobody believe you. But 10-year-old running home and everybody saw it, like all the boys. I mean, it's like a lot of the stuff you're saying is the stuff I've heard before.
Bigfoot than my wife.
More scared of your wife than Bigfoot.
Yeah, she's special. I really would. I don't know which one I'd run from faster. That thing is something, buddy. And it smells really bad.
I told a cop one time I was more scared of my mom than I was him. That's why I was driving fast.
Yeah.
I got out of the ticket. I don't know how. I was like throwing anything at the wall. Yeah, that's crazy. You had like
I moved one time and had a cat crawl me up. I got out of a ticket because of that cat speeding ticket.
Yeah, a lot of times they will like, oh man, just go ahead and go. You got bigger problems than us.
Right. Yep.
Well, it sounds like you had like a type A sighting. Like, have you ever talked to BFRO about it? I know you said I was the first one, but
you're right. No, I'm pretty much just stick to myself, and I never went too far with it because nobody ever believed me. And I've never bumped into too many folks that, like you or anybody that, got it, give interest.
Oh yeah, I love hearing the stories. I just sit here and listen like a little kid.
Them stories. If you never saw the thing,
mm-hmm.
It's scary. After
and you said you had friends with you.
Yeah, we were just little. We were only 10 years old. We couldn't help each other out.
What county is that?
I'm thinking it was Miami.
Miami. Go.
We were like other little kids on there, riding their bikes or just playing in the backyard, and there it is. I don't know.
So you're 13. You're 13 years older than me.
Yeah. I mean, I don't go in the woods anymore. Just ruined my life, man. I can't go in the woods no more. And I love the woods. I love birds and nature.
I'm looking at the Bigfoot reports in that area. Tip City has a bunch of them.
There's a few of them. Yeah, that's right. 2 towns over south of me.
I keep thinking of Miami, Ohio, the football team. Every time you see somebody play in Miami, you're like, where the hell Miami?
Right. The Miami Redhawks.
There was a Class B in 2000, and that was Tip City.
Fountain. Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, they had 2. Yeah, they're over that way, man.
I guess everything's going to be Tip City if it's the biggest town in the county.
Oh, it is? I guess. I thought Troy was. We got
and
then there's Troy.
Yeah, a lot of times it just says, like where I'm from in Alabama, there'll be one city in the whole county, and everybody will say they're from that city, and then they'll live 35 miles from it.
Right. Because the county's so huge, huh?
Yeah, it was like, I live in Scottsboro. I'm like, no, you don't. You live 2 mountains away. Okay, Troy does like the biggest. I learned so much about Ohio and Indiana doing this. Okay, so it's farther south.
Miami County.
And you were close to Covington?
Dayton. We are right beside Montgomery County. Montgomery County, Dayton, Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
And we are west of Columbus, probably 2 or 3 counties.
But you're close to you were close to Covington when it happened.
Yes, that's my hometown. Yep, it's actually called a village.
Mm-hmm.
It's had some crazy stuff happen, man. That town, it's a crossroads right there at 48 and 36. Back in the day, that was some crossroads. They've had some crazy stuff go on in that city.
Well, they got those shows like Stranger Things and everything take place in Indiana, just randomly.
Yeah.
Just in the middle of the woods.
That's right.
And then you got Wright-Patterson Air Force Base with the Area 51 aliens in it.
Yeah, yeah, that is directly probably 15 minutes away. Yeah, you should
The
drive by there.
I talked to
Anyway, it don't
I
even look
talked
like an
to
Air Force base. It looks like
oh yeah,
a
yeah.
place. Hills and stuff, big mounds of what the heck is that?
I talked to a
Big mounds
lady
of
and
grass.
she lives west of you in Minerva. She saw and there's a famous Bigfoot in
Yeah.
Minerva. You
Ah,
probably know
one
the
that sticks
Minerva
around. He's out.
the Minerva monster. I think she heard it howl out there.
I believe you. I believe you. I'm just
I was
gonna go ahead and say I'm surrounded by them because, yeah, they got this countryside around here is beautiful. It's got
mm-hmm,
caves. It's got uh, rock quarries. It's got huge lakes and ponds. It's got huge cornfields. It's got feed mills at every little town. That's where that thing was doing. It was right there behind these feed mill, sitting there. This corn all spill out, rabbits, creek right there,
mm-hmm.
and raspberries. The main thing it was on that day was these raspberries that grow there year round, or year every year. They're huge and they're so delicious, man. So delicious. And that's what it was. I'm surprised it didn't have like purple all over its beard or whatever, but I wanted to go up on it, man. And I was thinking years down the road, I was thinking, how could I have got up on that thing? And I was thinking, you get down on your hands and knees and crawl up to it and hold your hand up and go like that and wish for the best or something. But I've heard of people like this older gentleman had a farm and he had a family that lived there of Bigfoots out in his property. And they'd actually chased a bear off from his daughter one time.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he would save part of his watermelon patch and give it to the Bigfoots. Well, he finally passed away, and she said whoever buys the farm still has to keep the watermelon patch up, and they did. And she went out there to check, and there was a watermelon sitting on this gentleman's tombstone, man, that they put
Oh
up there
man.
out of respects. Yeah, Bigfoots are highly intelligent, highly respectful. They got I mean, the dogs got love and cuddle and love and these things are bipedal, dude, or bipedal, whatever that word is.
Yeah,
But yeah,
bipedal.
yeah, he's a buckaroo. I call him granddad because he was gray. I don't know, he was grayish. I figure he got mad at me because he's like, man, I ain't never been seen before until now. And he had to go to the other Bigfoots he got, seen. I've been spotted. That's
I
why he's so
wonder.
mad at it.
I wonder since you go to that area, you said you went to that area a lot, like it was on your daily routine almost. If you ever like they ever did anything to your mind that made you like not seeing it beforehand. Maybe you're just coming on too fast that day. Sometimes
I've
they play
heard of,
mental games.
yes, I've heard of that. I've heard of that.
Mm-hmm.
I like to when Indians, Native Americans speak about them. I really listen because they got some info. But no problem back there, dude. But I was in deja vu or all kinds of weird stuff in that woods. Man, you'd be just standing there, just watching the creek, and just watch the little fish and stuff. And who knows how long you stood there,
That
because you
place that
just,
place may have been that place may have just been surrounded. You never know.
yeah,
What
because
about the
it's right there on the railroad track, right there on the railroad track.
what about
Go
rivers
straight
and
to California.
lakes in that area?
There's all Lake Fort Laramie, Lake St. Mary's, Indian Lake, Kaiser Lake. Uh,
I mean, like
geez,
where
there's
it happened, was
probably
there a
more that
creek
I don't even.
nearby or a river? Was there a creek or a river nearby where it happened?
Yeah, there's a creek right there. Tracks. Yep, there's a Stillwater River, which is a really neat river. It's real
Oh, there it is.
calm and clean and
I see
curves
it
all over the
now.
place. Got plenty of deer. seen I used to take my son back to that part of the woods, and we'd seen a huge deer. He'd walk, he walked right by a little one. The thing just stood right there.
That sounds like the
But
perfect
across the
storm with the feed and the berries and all those lakes. Yeah, that county's got a big river in the middle of it.
yeah, it's a feast. It's a feast. Plus all the vegetation, just the regular vegetation.
Mm-hmm.
Got some good uh, greens, good leaves on some decent foliage that is edible.
They're having
Well,
a conference in Nashville, Indiana next year. How far is that from you? I was going to say you can go. You got one of the better stories out
Nashville.
there. Yeah, it's further south. I think it's closer to Louisville. Here we go. Well, it's just south of Indianapolis.
Next month.
Next year.
Next year.
I was going to say, like it'd be like maybe. What was I going to say? I was going to say maybe if you get on a couple of shows, you could, like you got a good account. I'm surprised no one's. Well, like I said, if you've only talked to me about it, I'm surprised no one's had you report it. That's a pretty good story.
I did on the national one of the Bigfoot sites. It's had a thing there where you could say where you've seen it, and I put it on there. And then that's where I found out about the ones in Tip City, and goodness gracious, man, they're everywhere over here.
Oh yeah. That's probably what I was looking at. How long ago was that where you wrote that on there, submitted it?
Oh, maybe a year or two ago.
Maybe surprised they hadn't got back with you. Usually they're pretty responsive.
Well, it was just on a regular page. I don't think it was any. See, I don't know nothing about the national course associations and stuff, or any of that stuff.
Yeah, it's
and
there's a lot when it comes to those kind of sites. There's a lot of like initial skepticism. Like they'll call bullshit like first pee out of the dish. Like they won't even let you get to the second part of the story. I'm thinking you're dealing with a mythical creature here, and you're calling BS. Like, dude, hear everyone out. I mean, what do you want?
Yeah, I know. I mean, I can tell when I watch the folks give interviews. I can tell they've seen it. They know.
And I've never seen one, and I've never had an experience. But the people I've talked to all say what you've said.
Right.
You've got a very telltale story.
Yeah.
That's why I was so adamant to have you on the show, even though if you're having problems, I got to get you on here. Got to have that story.
That's cool. Yeah. Yeah, it was something, man.
The chirps and the smells are the best part to me.
Yes.
I mean, and you looked him in the eye too.
Oh yeah, and it smelled like roadkill. But it terrified me. I was scared the whole time. Maybe I was in shock a little bit, and maybe that's why I stood there so long.
Well,
I thought they was going to stand there too, I didn't really realize they took off. I was like, that's what
they left you there by yourself.
Yeah,
like, where are you guys going?
Yeah,
come back. So what did the eyes look like?
That's what might have got my buddies. They might have saw that before, because they could probably see better than me too, because I got bad vision. But they might have seen his eyes change or whatever. But
you said he was eyeballing you.
Yeah, he was dead eyeing me, man. I seen his pupils were big, and he had like yellowish eyes. At first, they were like brownish or dark, black looking. But then they getting a lot lighter, and then they got kind of reddish. And his face started, he started smelling me or something. I don't know, but his face started scrunching up. And I figured that's enough of that. I ain't gonna. He's getting mad. And then when we finally got away from him, we were halfway away from him, and he started making all the screeches and the weird noises. And then when we got fully away from him, which where we was out on a state route, which was right in the middle of town, and all cars going by, we felt real safe. He made that barking noise, that whatever that noise was it was a roar. I remember it was a roar. It was a roar. I mean, it was a roar. One big one. Surprised my mom didn't hear it when she pulled up. Because she didn't then instantly just pulled up. Everything happened so fast. I mean, it was quick.
Yeah, I mean, just to a human, to us,
No.
that's the equivalent to seeing a ghost. So it's no wonder it freaked you out so bad. I mean, you're not supposed to see that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I know about them too, man.
What about the other guys? Like your friends? Have they ever talked about it? I mean, half a dozen dudes.
Yeah, I just talked to one of them at Kroger's grocery store, and he said he was going to watch the podcast, but I couldn't get my phone to work.
Yeah, what I'm going to do is take this footage and put it back up. So yeah, it's okay.
That's what I figured.
Kind of rough. It'll be kind of rough cut, but it'll be good to go.
Right. And this gentleman, he actually lived right by these woods where we were at. So I feel sorry for him the most because he had to live there. He lived there the rest of his, until he become, got out of high school and got married and stuff. But he had to live there for another 8 years. And he denied it. He told me one time he didn't believe in it. He said, nope, they deny it. We didn't. But then the other guy just happened to be right there also. And I went down to him and he said, did you talk to dude already? I said, yeah. He said he didn't see it, didn't he, Greg? I said, yeah. He said, don't you ever forget we saw that thing, dude. I said, I ain't going to forget about it, dude. And then I figured it out later. My buddy that didn't believe in it no more, he just kind of blocked it out because he lived so close there, man. I mean, he had to block it out of his head or he couldn't go home at night. And now he's the one I seen at Kroger's, and he said, yeah, I'm gonna the one that didn't feel too happy about it. He's gonna watch the podcast. And he saw it. He said he did tell me at Kroger's. He's like, yeah, we seen that bad boy.
If any of Greg's friends want to come on the show, you have all of Greg's friends have an open invite to come on the show. I'm just saying.
Oh.
BobbyDizzle.com. Just message me on Facebook or something.
Yeah, there's some. I got a lot of good buddies. I never friended up with nobody that ain't a good dude or a good girl.
Yeah,
I've always had good buddies.
Well, Greg, I'm glad you got to come.
That one.
I'm glad you got to come on, but I think Zoom is about to end. Apparently, I've only got 40 minutes. That's why I don't ever use it. So I appreciate you coming on, and I'm going to upload this. It's going to be rough cut. It's just going to be a raw file, but it was a good story. I think it'll speak for itself and stand on its own without any crazy editing or anything. But thanks for coming on again. And if you get the notion to tell your story again on a bigger platform or something, maybe I'll reach out again in the future. And all your friends have an open invite as well. I'd like to hear more. Maybe bounce your experience off a couple other people.
Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please subscribe at BobbyDizzle.com. I apologize for the quality, but we got to get these stories out there because I think that's more important than the actual production of the video. Thanks again. I'm going to go ahead and end it.